How to survive in Korea. Weddings. Step 0. Attire. As a guest, dress formal to business casual. Avoid wearing all white, shorts or going topless. Step 1. Arrival time. Arrive 30 minutes prior to the wedding ceremony. Too many cars, too many halls, too many people. There are many twists and turns. Take pictures and shake hands. And write your name vertically, not horizontally, in the guest book. Step 2. Or, shibor. 50,000 won, 100,000 won, 150,000 won. Cash gifts are given in these units. Decide on the amount based on your relationship. Write your name vertically on the envelope. Step 3. Wedding etiquette. Fill up the front row. Guests have 3 duties to fulfill: clapping, cheering, and taking pictures. Step 4. Dining. Take off your jacket. This will be your seat from now on. Start with the not your everyday delicacies. Kalbijjim. Yes. Bosa. Yes. Chili shrimps. Definitely yes. Kimbap. Yeah. Only if you can't live without it. No need to pile up food. You have more than one opportunity. Did you survive the wedding? Wait, did someone catch your eye? What are you waiting for? You're looking fine today.
Industry Minister Kim Jong-kwan and U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick will meet again on Friday local time after failing to narrow their differences on tariffs on South Korean goods the previous day. Trade Minister Yoo Hang-gu will join Kim in convincing the Trump administration that South Korea will implement an agreed-upon investment deal. The U.S. Treasury Department has once again retained South Korea on its currency monitoring list, a designation that experts say is unlikely to have much impact on Korea's foreign exchange market. Team Korea is off to Italy for the 2026 Winter Olympics in northern Italy, with the goal of bringing home at least 3 gold medals. Talks between South Korea and the U.S. over President Donald Trump's renewed threat to impose 25% tariffs on South Korean products will resume in Washington on Friday, after the first round of negotiations on Thursday concluded without a firm agreement. Our Moon Hae-ryun starts us off.
South Korea's top trade officials are mounting an urgent diplomatic push in Washington as the Trump administration signals it may reinstate steep tariffs on Korean goods. Industry Minister Kim Jong-wan met U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick on Thursday local time, though the two sides failed to reach an immediate agreement. Trade Minister Yo Han-gu is due to meet U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer on Friday, forming a coordinated response by Korea's trade leadership. The tariff threat appears to stem from U.S. frustration over delays in South Korea's domestic legislation tied to last year's trade deal and a $350 billion investment pledge. Minister Kim arrived at the Commerce Department around 5 p.m. and left about an hour and a half later, telling reporters the talks were extensive but inconclusive, with a follow-up meeting scheduled for Friday morning. Asked whether the tariff hike had been blocked, Kim said it was not a matter of having stopped or stopped it, adding that no final conclusion had been reached. Kim said he made clear that Korea remains firmly committed to implementing agreed investments, including the special investment bill, and sought to persuade Washington not to reinstate the tariffs. Trade Minister Ya, ahead of his departure, said the goal of the visit is to assess both the U.S. administration's stance and congressional dynamics, while seeking a reasonable solution to prevent the tariff hike. He plans to explain Korea's political situation and discuss broader trade issues, including digital regulation. The diplomatic scramble comes as President Trump warns that U.S. tariffs could become much steeper, saying current measures were already generous and vital to national security. Speaking at a White House cabinet meeting, Trump argued tariffs have brought in hundreds of billions of dollars and insisted he has no intention of giving that up. As negotiations resume in Washington, this week is shaping up as a critical test, both a challenge and an opportunity for Seoul to prevent another escalation in Korea-U.S. trade tensions. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
In the meantime, the U.S. has once again kept South Korea on its foreign exchange monitoring list, pointing to ongoing trade and current account surpluses with Washington. Our Park Jun-han has the details.
The United States has kept South Korea on its foreign exchange monitoring list. In its semi-annual report to Congress released Thursday local time, the U.S. Treasury listed Korea among 10 other countries, including China, Japan, and Germany, for heightened scrutiny over macroeconomic and exchange rate policies. Under the 2015 Trade Facilitation and Trade Enforcement Act, the U.S. Treasury Department monitors its trading partners using three critical benchmarks. First, a bilateral trade surplus with the U.S. exceeding $15 billion. Second, a current account surplus of 3% or more of the nation's GDP. And third, a persistent one-sided intervention in the foreign exchange market. One-sided intervention requires net purchases of foreign currency conducted repeatedly in at least 8 out of 12 months, totaling at least 2% of an economy's GDP. Currently, South Korea has flagged two of these three indicators. While the trade surplus remains $52 billion and the current account surplus sits comfortably at 5.9%, the third criterion, market intervention, has not yet been met. South Korea was removed from the list in late 2023 but was put back on it in November 2024 and remains there under the latest assessment. An economics professor said the impact on Korea's foreign exchange market would be minimal.
Being designated as a currency monitoring country is not a major issue, as this has been the case for a while. The U.S. preference for a weaker dollar ultimately comes down to exports. It is part of a broader push to revive domestic manufacturing.
In response, the Blue House said the Korean financial authorities will maintain close communication with the U.S. Treasury Department, adding that the U.S. report reaffirms the Korean currency's depreciation against the greenback is not in line with Korea's strong economic fundamentals. Park Jun-han, Arirang News.
South Korea's industrial output marked its slowest pace of growth in 5 years last year, while consumption regained ground for the first time in 4 years. Ian Jim reports.
South Korea's industrial output in 2025 marked its weakest growth in 5 years, while consumption rebounded to positive levels for the first time in 4 years. According to data from the Ministry of Statistics and Data released on Friday, in December alone, industrial output rose 1.5% from the previous month and 1.8% from a year earlier. Following a 1.1% decline in 2020, when production contracted amid the fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic, total industrial output has risen for 4 consecutive years. 5% in 2021, 4.8% in 2022, 1.1% in 2023, and 1.5% in 2024. Production in the mining and manufacturing sector, considered the backbone of the economy, gained 1.6% in 2025, while the main drive behind last year's industrial output was semiconductors, which rose by 13.2% on year. Amid the boom of artificial intelligence, it was the surge in chip demand that contributed largely to keeping overall output figures at positive levels. Meanwhile, retail sales, a key indicator of private consumption, turned positive after 3 consecutive years of shrinking, increasing 0.9% on month, mainly supported by higher sales of clothing, food, and beverages. The ministry says growth was particularly strong in the third quarter of 2025, boosted by government-issued consumption coupons. The cyclical component of the Coincident Composite Index, which reflects current economic conditions, fell by 0.2 points from the previous month, while the cyclical component of the Composite Leading Indicator, which signals future economic conditions, rose by 0.6 points compared to the previous month. 이은진, Arirang News.
President Lee Jae-myung believes entrepreneurship is a key to expanding opportunities for future generations here in the country. Let's take a listen.
우리 대한민국 국민들은 정말 뛰어난 역량을 가지고 있습니다. 교육 수준도 그렇고 또 성실함이나 또 집요함, 손기술, 그러니까 뭐 기능이죠. 또 사회적인 인프라, 모든 여건들이 아주 좋은데 전통적인 방식으로 평범하게 좋은 일자리를 만들어내는 건 한계가 있는 것 같습니다.
Now, these remarks were shared on this Friday at the Blue House during a strategy meeting on supporting startups. The president also maintained that deepening economic polarization had weighed on growth and narrowed job opportunities for the young. Accordingly, to encourage entrepreneurship, the Ministry of SMEs and Startups will host a televised competition featuring 100 aspiring entrepreneurs this year. The winner will receive prize money and venture investment worth over 1 billion won. South Korea and Japan have agreed to institutionalize their defense cooperation by holding annual ministerial meetings. At meeting in Yokosuka on Friday, Defense Minister Ang Kyu-baek and Japanese Defense Minister Shinjiro Koizumi pledged to maintain close coordination for regional peace and stability. Key outcomes of their meeting include the resumption of the Naval Search and Rescue Exercise, or SAREX, and an agreement to explore cooperation in advanced defense technologies, including AI, unmanned systems, and outer space. A Ministry of National Defense official also stated that Minister An proposed a reciprocal visit by Minister Koizumi to maintain this momentum, emphasizing the need to transform the bilateral relationship into a truly close, future-oriented partnership. As a U.S. carrier strike group arrives in the Middle East and U.S. President Donald Trump warns he may strike Iran, fears of a wider war are growing once again. Iran has responded by threatening U.S. military bases across the Middle East if there's any military action against Iran. Cha Young-kyung has more.
Military tensions are rising between the U.S. and Iran as U.S. President Donald Trump has deployed a military aircraft used to detect radioactive particles and an aircraft carrier group to the Middle East. The Telegraph reported on Friday that a U.S. Air Force plane known as the Nuke Sniffer had landed in Britain. The USAF WC-135R Constant Phoenix jet, designed to monitor radioactive material in the atmosphere, touched down at RAF Mildenhall, a joint-use military airbase in Suffolk, southeastern England. The arrival comes amid increasing speculation that the U.S. may be weighing military action against Iran, following attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities last June. On Wednesday local time, as American military assets continued to build up across the Middle East, President Trump warned Iran that time was running out to sign a new deal, barring it from developing nuclear weapons.
And by the way, there's another beautiful armada floating beautifully toward Iran right now. So we'll see. I hope they make a deal.
Iran has warned that it would target U.S. military bases across the Middle East if there was any military action against it, saying any strike would prompt an immediate and forceful response. Iranian officials have publicly dismissed U.S. threats, saying talks cannot take place under pressure. Iran has placed its Air Force and missile units, along with around 1,000 sea and land-based drones, on high alert and has announced military exercises that many interpret as a clear warning to the U.S. Iran's army chief said the country's drone forces and extensive ballistic missile arsenal could deliver a crushing response to any attack. Cha Yoon-kyo, Arirang News.
AI's Power 2026, a global forum exploring how artificial intelligence is reshaping urban systems, infrastructure, and industries, opened in the capital on Friday. Our To Young-eun was there.
Under the theme The Transformation Era Beyond Adoption, AI Seoul 2026 highlighted tangible changes driven by artificial intelligence in city operations and industrial innovation. Sharing its vision to become a global leader in physical AI, Seoul unveiled a comprehensive citywide strategy spanning infrastructure, industrial development, and everyday applications.
Technology must ultimately serve people, and the physical AI leading city that Seoul envisions is a city that creates the warmest change with the coldest technology.
Global CEOs and academic leaders led insight sessions, offering perspectives on how AI is shaping Seoul's future, as the city announced plans to establish a Seoul Physical AI Belt, linking Yangjae AI Tech City for AI talent and companies with the Susa robot cluster. By 2030, a central facility will be completed to enable testing and demonstrations of autonomous robots and advanced AI technologies. In line with this vision, Seoul plans to transform downtown areas into large-scale physical AI testbed and invest 100 billion won, or about $70 million by 2030. Among the keynote speakers was Carlo Lotti, director of the MIT Sensible City Lab, who underscores Seoul's potential to emerge as a global hub for AI-powered urban innovation.
Every time I come here, I'm amazed about all the excitement about here people have at AI, how much the city is investing in this. And because of this, I think Seoul can really be an ideal testbed for really testing new technologies and urban futures.
The conference also showcased the outcomes of Seoul's AI transition efforts over the past year, building on the roadmap set out at last year's forum. As Seoul builds smarter infrastructure, some of the innovations seen at this event, from autonomous buses to fire patrol robots, could become part of everyday life over the next decade. To Young-eun, Arirang News.
With the Winter Olympics set to begin soon, South Korea's team departed for Italy today. Now, this time, the nation's official goal is 3 gold medals and a top 10 finish. Our Kim Do-yeon has this report.
South Korea's delegation departed for Italy on Friday to compete in the 2026 Milano Cortina Winter Olympics. Dressed in official white tracksuits, the 130-member delegation, including 71 athletes, competing in 6 disciplines, headed to the departure gates ahead of the Games. As always, short track remains the country's primary medal hope. Team captain Choi Min-jung is challenging for her 3rd consecutive individual Olympic gold, while the men's and women's relay teams are aiming to reclaim the top spot for the first time in 20 and 8 years respectively.
I believe the best approach is to demonstrate everything I've prepared. As mentioned, since I serve as the captain of both the short track team and the national delegation, I feel a deep sense of responsibility. It is my hope that not only myself, but the entire short track team and the South Korean delegation as a whole achieve strong results.
In other events, teenage snowboarder Choi Ga-eun is set for a high-profile matchup against Korean-American Chloe Kim in the halfpipe, while the speed skating and figure skating teams are also targeting podium finishes.
Speed skating did not secure a gold medal in Beijing, so we will work hard to ensure we bring one home this time.
The Korea Sport and Olympic Committee has set an official target of 3 gold medals and a top 10 finish in the overall standings. Officials believe exceeding that goal is possible if the short track team performs well and unexpected medals are secured in other events. Upon arrival, the athletes will move into the Olympic villages in Milan and Cortina to begin final conditioning and acclimatization. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
K-pop girl group BLACKPINK's Rosé will perform at the Grammy Awards ceremony slated for Sunday local time. The Recording Academy said Thursday that Rosé have been named an official performer for the 68th ceremony. Now, this will mark the first time a K-pop artist has performed solo on the Grammy stage. Her collaborative single Apathy with pop star Bruno Mars earned 3 nominations, namely a Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best Pop Duo/Group Performance. Meanwhile, Korean music label HYBE's US-based girl group Cat's Eye will also perform that day after being nominated for Best New Artist. It's been about a year since Korean temple food was designated a national intangible cultural heritage. Since then, the rising popularity has been drawing attention from audiences around the globe. For more on this trend, our culture correspondent Park Konu joins us in the studio. Happy Friday, Konu.
Great to be here, Demi.
So, Konu, as far as we remember, you've been giving our viewers a closer look at Korean temple food. Tell us more.
I have. So, after speaking with the Hmong venerables Hunjae and going to these places where they have amazing temple food, I just got to know why so many people are drawn to temple food these days. And that's because it's not just about taste, but it's also about how food reflects ideas of sustainability that's grabbing global attention. Officials even say that more and more people of the younger generations are willing to experience temple food. But before I tell you more, let's go straight to the scene and see how popular temple food is.
Long preserved for centuries, Korean temple food is no longer enjoyed only by monks, but by food lovers from around the world. This growing interest can be partially seen at a temple cuisine restaurant in Seoul, operated by the Choge Order of Korean Buddhism, where reservations are often fully booked, including by visitors from abroad.
Today, it's a little bit similar to Japanese traditional food. It tastes more some taste of kimchi. This a little bit spicy food, but it was very delicious. And yeah, I love this delicate taste of this temple food.
Temple cuisine is also drawing strong interest from visitors outside of Asia.
What I think about is that everything is made with a lot of consciousness. I think the idea of food and also of the connection to the rest of the world, that everything is connected. Yeah. But this temple food was first time, but we will take it with us, of course, this idea, and we'll look for any opportunity also in Germany.
So it may seem like a lot of food and slightly different from what monks would normally eat in a single meal. But what we have here is a wide variety of traditional temple dishes. And one standout feature is that they don't use pungent vegetables, including garlic and green onions, nor do they use artificial seasonings. So let's give it a try.
A wide variety of temple food includes whitewater kimchi, believed to aid digestion, winter spinach with sweet persimmon, crispy glazed mushrooms that surprisingly taste like meat, and buckwheat jelly with spicy kimchi. Bite after bite, slurp after slurp, diners keep tasting, some even lifting their bowls to finish every last drop. Thanks to its global popularity, temple food is also attracting more visitors from abroad, many traveling to Korea just to learn more about it. Building on this momentum, the Cultural Corps of Korean Buddhism is preparing to sign collaborative agreements to introduce temple food at prestigious culinary schools overseas, including the Culinary Institute of America.
Temple food is becoming so important because people recognize simplicity and the power of it. In a world full of industrial, Western, processed food, we want a healthy body and a healthy spirit with a healthy community, so that we can co-create a healthy world. And I would hope that all types of cuisines and culinary schools work towards that objective.
The Cultural Corps of Korean Buddhism even says reservations for temple food making classes are often fully booked weeks in advance. At the same time, the Choge Order of Korean Buddhism is pushing to have temple food listed as UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage. With tradition, philosophy, and growing global interest coming together, Korean temple food is now stepping onto the world stage.
Kanu, aren't there more efforts to promote Korean temple food, specifically Korean temple food?
Right. So the Cultural Corps of Korean Buddhism says that interest in temple food is now extending beyond dining and now focusing on education and hands-on experiences. It also said around 100,000 foreign nationals have taken part in temple food cooking programs over the past decade, prompting them to further expand such classes. You can also check the official website if you want to try making temple food yourself at just under $20. Classes require advanced reservations as registration for the following month typically opens at the beginning of the previous month. An official at the Cultural Corps of Korean Buddhism also says they are continuing efforts in various ways.
We run regular education programs and professional certification systems to strengthen temple food. Through cultural centers and festivals, we've expanded opportunities for the public to experience it, while also working with overseas culinary institutions.
Cooperation with international culinary institutions includes Le Cordon Bleu in France and the Hmong. We just heard from added that more temple stay programs will be linked with temple food experiences in the future, allowing people to understand temple food not just as cuisine, but as a way of life.
That's impressive. Now, Kanu, how's the project to list temple food on the UNESCO Cultural Heritage going so far?
Yeah, so I have to cite the Cultural Corps of Korean Buddhism once again. As they say, the effort is being approached as a long-term project with a timeline of 5 to 10 years. And since 2009, Korean Buddhism has been documenting temple food traditions through field research, verbal testimonies of senior monks, and written records, while continuing international exchanges and introductions. Building on these efforts, an international academic symposium on temple food is scheduled again this August following last year's event to further discuss its cultural value on a global level.
Kanu, thank you so much for sharing this interesting and impressive story tonight. Thanks for coming in.
Always a pleasure.
Even though cold wave warnings and advisories are still covering parts of the central regions, 전라북도 and 경상북도 provinces, this long stretch of bitter cold is finally starting to wind down. Starting tomorrow afternoon, temperatures will gradually rise as the cold air fades away. Seoul's morning temperature is expected to drop to -11 degrees Celsius, similar to today. However, by daytime, temperatures in many areas, including Seoul, will climb back to above freezing. From Sunday, temperatures are expected to return to seasonal averages. Most areas will have a cold morning tomorrow, with Chuncheon at -14 degrees, Gyeongju at -8 degrees. Highs will rise to 1 degree in Seoul, 6 degrees in Daegu and Gyeongju. Between early Sunday and Monday, light snow of around 1 centimeter is forecast for central regions and parts of the Jeollado provinces. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. From all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.
Curious about Korea?
And especially K-food? How familiar are you with Korean food? The sea on 3 sides, a mountainous terrain, and 4 distinct seasons. Thanks to these conditions, Korean cuisine bursts with diverse and unique flavors.
Do you prefer sweet or spicy?
A meat lover or a seafood connoisseur?
Can't decide?
There's got to be something here that you like.
For Koreans, rice is foundational. It's a staple and the centerpiece to all meals in Korea. There's bibimbap, rice mixed with vegetables, gukbap, rice in hot soup, and kimbap is the demand around the world.
For me, it's noodles over rice. Korea has amazing noodle dishes. Chuy ramen and cold naengmyeon to blow away the heat. A meat lover here, pork, beef, chicken, I like them all. Did you know that bulgogi is listed in the English dictionary? There's also the famous chimek, chicken and beer, which is the best combo for a night out with friends.
Surrounded by the sea on 3 sides, Korea has a great selection of seafood, from raw fish to piping hot seafood soups. It's mouth-watering just talking about it. The 2 pillars of Korean condiments, gochujang and soy sauce.
Ooh, what do you prefer?
Gochujang. I like anything made with gochujang. In general, Koreans love spicy food.
I prefer the soy sauce base. There's something about the salty and sweet that hits the right spot. I think even those who are trying Korean food for the first time will really like it.
But that's not all.
We can't leave out the street food. If you're in Korea, it's a must-try. They are both treats for your eyes and mouth.
How about it? Mouth-watering, right?
Korean food, you've got to try it. Discover a whole new world of flavors.
Knock knock! The magical door to the world of K-animation is swinging wide open. Meet your instant new BFF, the adorable Catch. Tina Ping will have you hooked from the very first glance. Need a hand? Our Robocar Pony Rescue team is always zooming in to save the day. How about tagging along on Pink Fong and Pal's super exciting quest to reclaim their lost magic? With the mysterious life forms Cabion by your side, you can become a Cabion master and save humanity like the total hero. Protecting children's innocence while igniting their boundless imaginations. That's the magic of Korean animation. K-animation, the ultimate bestie for kids worldwide.
Welcome to Within the Frame, where we bring the most pressing issues across the globe into focus. I'm Kim Mo-gyan. South Korea has set its sights on becoming one of the world's top defense industry powers, and the Canadian submarine procurement program is a key milestone in that journey. This high-stakes competition goes beyond just securing an export contract. It's about strengthening national security and deepening industrial partnerships. With South Korea's proposal of a comprehensive counter-trade package, the CPSP is more than just a procurement deal. It's a test of South Korea's naval capabilities and its position in the global defense market. On Within the Frame tonight, we'll explore the strategic, economic, and security implications of this deal and what it means for the future of Korea's defense industry. And for this, we connect to Kim Jun-mo, professor at the Department of Public Administration at Konkuk University. A big welcome.
My pleasure.
And also joining us is Ji-hoon Yu, research fellow at the Korea Institute for Defense Analysis, who's also a former ROK Navy commander. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me here.
Now, let's start a discussion with Professor Kim first. So, like I've said, the government has set a goal to become a top 4 defense industry power, and the Canadian submarine procurement program is being mentioned as a key test to this. First, could you explain for our viewers what exactly is this project and why is it so important for South Korea to win this contract?
Yes, with climate change, Arctic Ocean routes are being cultivated, which will reduce logistics costs significantly. For Canada, strategic importance of this region and area has been increasing, and to cope with this, Canada is trying to replace its existing Victoria-class submarines, which were former Royal Navy of UK Upholder-class submarines, by acquiring 12 new submarines. That's CPSP. And there are several countries that can produce competitive and marketable conventional submarines that could meet Canadian requirements, which are longer endurance and Arctic Ocean environment, which translate into bigger displacement and possibly longer endurance enabled by air-independent propulsion systems. So at first, Korea, Japan, and Germany were contending. Japan dropped out, and now we have Korea and Germany competing for the last moment. And like the K9 Voyager case and K210 case, the country that gets this deal will have a commanding height in getting the conventional submarine market worldwide. And that's why Korea is pitching very hard.
Right, so it will definitely be an opportunity for South Korea to, pursue long-term security and become an industrial partner itself. Now, let's also invite Dr. Yu to the conversation. So, you're a former ROK Navy commander yourself. What would the strategic significance be for South Korea's Navy and defense industry if it succeeds in securing this Canadian submarine deal?
Well, I believe that if South Korea wins the Canadian submarine procurement program, it will be more than a single export success. I think it will be a strong strategic endorsement. As you know, procurement standards of Canada are among the most demanding in the world, and a Korean win would show that Korea's submarine design and program executions and through life support can meet the expectations of a G7 and NATO navies. I think the message is even clearer because Canada is seeking submarines that can operate across the Atlantic the Pacific and the Arctic approaches, proving Korea can deliver endurance, reliability, and a rigorous sustainment performance, not just competitive pricing and fast constructions. I also believe the significance for the Republic of Korea Navy would be both operational and strategic. A deeper undersea partnership with Canada could strengthen maritime cooperations between the Indo-Pacific and the Euro-Atlantic theaters and expand the practical collaborations, including advanced anti-submarine warfare training exchanges, readiness and maintenance practices, and lessons from harsh environment operations. I think meeting Canada's requirement would also push forward the capabilities such as signature management, sensor integrations, maintainability, and crew habitabilities with the benefits that can feed back into Korea's own submarine roadmap and undersea deterrence posture. I also believe the CPSP could anchor Korea's defense industry over the long term, shifting the focus from simply building platforms to delivering a global sustainment and modernization ecosystem. A program of this scale would strengthen production efficiency, reinforce quality assurance, and most importantly, establish casual credibility that shapes future competition outcomes. It would likely expand Korea's North American supply chain footprint and the long-term in-service support role, as long as Korean deliver credible local participations, training and infrastructure, and dependable on-time delivery.
Right, so definitely it's a very good opportunity for South Korea. But what about for Canada? From Canada's perspective, Dr. Yu, since you recently had discussions with key figures in Canada about defense cooperation, what is Canada's view of South Korea's submarine operational experience and shipbuilding maintenance capabilities?
Well, from what I've heard, Canada's messaging around CPSP is consistent and clear. It frames the program as the long-term three-ocean capability, covering Atlantic, Pacific, and Arctic approaches with a focus on sovereignty, credible deterrence, and the ability to remain unpatrol for extended periods. That is why Canada emphasizes under ice capability, long range and endurance, and an integrated package that includes training, infrastructure, and the long-term sustainment, rather than treating CPSP as a simple platform purchase. From that perspective, Canada is likely to view South Korea's submarine operational experience as a meaningful strength. Korea has sustained, submarine operations for decades in a demanding security environment, which it tends to, produce a mature operational culture with a strong safety discipline, a rigorous readiness routines, and realistic training standards. At the same time, Canadian decision makers will want credible evidence that these strengths translate to Canada's specific mission profile, especially along deployment and harsh environmental performance implied by Arctic operations. On shipbuilding and maintenance, Canada will generally regard the South Korea's scale and execution capacity as highly competitive, particularly in terms of delivery credibility and industrial resilience. But Canada's bottom line is not only whether Korea can build submarines well, it is whether Korea can help Canada sustain them reliably for decades by building real capability inside Canada. In practical terms, the key test will be the credibility of the long-term maintenance and support plan, including local workforce training, stable access to spare parts, a clear upgrade pathways, and arrangement that keeps submarines available and ready throughout their service life.
Right, definitely. So the whether how much kind of trust we'll have on both sides in order for long-term maintenance and support would be very important in this matter. But as this competition continued to deepen, the Canadian submarine deal, it has become a national level industrial package contest. And South Korea, it has proposed a counter trade package combining steel, AI, space, and rare earths. So, Professor Kim, how do you think this will influence the procurement process?
Yes, at first, pure performance was the comparison point, but after Germany introduced industrial cooperation package, Korea responded by offering even bigger industrial package. So it's now, as you mentioned, it's a national competition of some kind. Germany offered battery project for autos, a rare earth mineral project, and some AI project. And Korea also proposed AI project, also a comprehensive range of different projects. But one peculiar aspect of the Korean offset program is so-called one-team approach, where Hyundai Motors is participating. Hyundai Hana Ocean is going to work with a Canadian steel company named Algoma when the deal is done. Hana Ocean is going to work with a Canadian unicorn named Cohere to develop AI specialized for shipbuilding. Hana System is also going to participate in satellite programs in Canada. Also, Hyundai Heavy Industries, one of the members of the One Team approach, is going to buy Canadian oil through Hyundai Oil Bank, their subsidiary company. So in sum, Korea's offset program is more comprehensive, wider in scope, focusing on tangible outcomes, compared to those offered by German counterpart. So not only submarine itself is better from Korean side because Korean submarines are active in service with the Korean Navy, meeting the Canadian requirement while the German submarine is at the design stage, but also the industrial package itself is more refined in the Korean side. So taking that as a backdrop, it would be an interesting observation point to see how this proposal would work as a leverage to make the deal.
Right, definitely. Many people are really looking forward to this deal. But as you've touched upon, Germany is also in the race, and it's offering a package that links the EU, NATO, and resource and battery industries as well. So compared to this, Professor Kim, what areas of improvement do you think we will have for South Korea in comparison to Germany? Mm-hmm.
Yes, as I mentioned, submarine itself is superior in the Korean side. Industrial cooperation package is also superb in my viewpoint. So what is to be improved, if there is any room, would be offering a better financial deal, as we always find in other defense procurement deals, to persuade Canada. Always money matters, so that's one of the final avenue to go. And another avenue to cultivate it would be assurance. As Commander you mentioned, building assurance between Korea and Canada will help Canada to understand the value of Korean offer. So that will be the room to improve from this moment.
Right. So it means South Korea isn't just competing on technology and financial advantages, but also on alliances and strategic alignment as well. Now, let's shift our discussion a little bit to industry, from industry to operations. So Canada has a unique maritime security environment that takes into account the Arctic, the Atlantic, and the Pacific as well. So from a military and operational perspective, Dr. Yu, what advantages could South Korean submarines have in Canada's security environment?
Well, based on my personal experience, I think that maritime security environment of Canada is shaped by distance, diversity, and more than ever, the Arctic. In that setting, a submarine has to do more than look strong on paper. I mean, it must cover long transit distances, stay on station for extended periods across different theaters, and then return to readiness quickly. In practice, I believe endurance and sustained availability are what matter most because they determine whether a submarine can provide a persistent presence in the Atlantic, Pacific, and the northern approaches. In that context, I think Korean submarines could offer real value, but only if the overall solution is built around Canada's operational realities. Canada will need a platform that can shift missions smoothly, surveillance and intelligence collections, deterrence signaling, denier, and support to joint operations without pushing Canada toward the separate, specialized fleet for each oceans. I believe a versatile submarine paired with a clear operational concept and a realistic deployment model can reduce complexity and help Canada generate, reliable undership presence across the three theaters. I also believe Korea can contribute the practical know-how from decades of undersea operations in the Indo-Pacific, where readiness is not optional and operational demand versus disciplined training, tactics, and maintenance routines. That experience can translate into concrete cooperations, training pipelines, tactics development, and sustainment best practices, especially as Canada expands its engagement in the Indo-Pacific. But I think the decisive factor will still be sustainment. Readiness is ultimately won or lost in maintenance capacity, parts availability, and responsiveness and workforce continuity. That is where I think Korea's potential advantage could lie on availability-focused packages that combines maintainable platforms, a credible training concept, and a long-term sustainment plan focused on the outcome. Canada will judge above all else consistent operational availability over decades, including under Arctic conditions.
Then, Dr. Yu, when we expand our discussion a little bit too broadly, maritime defense is also being highlighted as a key growth area for South Korea's defense industry. So as a former naval commander, why do you think maritime defense can actually become a new growth pillar for South Korea's defense industry?
Well, I think maritime defense can become a genuine growth pillar because, more countries are putting security at sea higher on their national agenda. They are focused on practical needs such as protecting key lanes of communications, strengthening deterrence, and improving maritime domain awareness. In my view, naval platforms sit at the center of that shift. They also matter economically because, they are long-cycle programs that naturally create enduring industrial relationships, training ties, and sustainment partnerships. I see South Korea as well positioned in this environment because its industrial strengths align with what maritime customers actually value. Korea brings, shipbuilding scale, growing capability in combat system integrations, and expanding ecosystem in enabling technologies such as sensors, communications, and AI-enabled maritime systems. If these strengths are packaged as an integrated offer covering design, construction, integration, training, sustainment, and upgrades, I think the K defense can move up the value chain from selling individual platforms to delivering operational capability and long-term availability. I also believe maritime programs that reinforce Korea's broader strategic narrative. They can support stability by helping partners operate safely and effectively in the Gulf maritime commons under shared rules and norms. That matters for legitimacy and trust because many partners want defense cooperations that strengthen the security while managing escalation risks rather than actions that could unintentionally increase instability.
So after hearing all this, on the flip side, there are also criticisms that South Korea's defense policy remains kind of too focused on winning contracts itself. Professor Kim, what do you think is the most urgent change that is needed in this defense policy?
It is understandable to find that criticism, but the focal point is that the leverage on domestic economic side. I think government wanted to have a leverage effect from outside to inside domestic economy. And that's why winning the contract was emphasized. So one turning point we should eye on would be to have longer and wider viewpoint in promoting defense industry. In other words, defense contracts, once they are done, it'll take at least several years for implementation. And sometimes home runs or mega deals are not every year or every day happening like media and people expect in everyday lives. So we may have to design in promoting defense industry a portfolio concept. That is, for example, product A can be a big hit this year, product B can be another hit next year. So overall, we may have to have some endurance in watching and promoting defense industry. That's the way we should go.
Right, so we will have to be ready with a portfolio to be and lean up to different circumstances in the future. Thank you so much for your ideas, Professor Kim. But we'll have to wrap up right here. Thank you so much again, and also Dr. Yu. Thank you again for your insights tonight.
Thank you so much.
And that'll be all from us on Within the Frame. Be sure to tune in again next time as we continue to explore the stories that matter. Until then, stay informed and engaged.